For the first time, at the age of 28, Zandile Ndhlovu decided to look beneath the surface of the ocean, felt at home, and decided that she needed to help make the seas more accessible and diverse. Fondly known as the Black Mermaid, the first black female free diver has written a book entitled Zandi's Song. It's an empowering and inspiring story about a young girl from Soweto that goes on a magical underwater adventure as a mermaid. It also emphasizes our connection to the natural world and encourages young children to look after the environment. Zandi's Song is available in English, isiZulu, isiXhosa, Sesotho and Afrikaans, and it is illustrated by Katego Keokgale. So it is such a pleasure to have Zandi with us. Zandi, welcome.
Leanne, thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
It is such a pleasure. You have got such a beautiful and fascinating story, which I know has been put into this book. But I want to speak about this Zandi, not the Zandi in the book right now. I want to speak to you and then we'll get to the book. You were born in Soweto, very, very far from the sea. What made you so fascinated by the oceans?
It's actually interesting. My journey started in 2016 on this trip to Bali. Naturally, in Soweto, we don't have access to oceans. We don't have a place to dream of oceans. And so in 2016, on the snorkel trip, I see the most beautiful world I had ever seen. And from that moment, I just knew that I wanted to pursue all the life that lived, all her fish, all her whales, the entire world.
Amazing. And that was at 28 years old. That was the moment you decided. But the first time you ever saw the ocean was what, at about 16, I think? You said that was the first time you actually saw this big thing that you thought, wow, what is that?
Yes, we must have been, I was actually about 12 years old,
12.
visiting my mother's side of the family in the Transkei. And it was just incredible because you don't know what you don't know. And so you're watching these wild waves. If you know the Eastern Cape, you know her waters are charged. And yeah, that was the first of that. But never in my wildest dreams did I think there was a world that existed in the way it does in that moment.
Zandi, did you know how to swim at the time? Because I know that you speak about how, your grandmother would say to you, don't go near that water, it's dangerous, don't touch it, it's not for us. So did you ever have the opportunity to learn how to swim before you embarked on this incredible diving career that you have now?
I'm so lucky that I actually did know how to swim. So at the end of matric, I worked on getting my swim better. I am a self-taught swimmer. So if you have to see me in the ocean, I often say all of my friends that have been swimming since they were 5, you can tell that they're little dolphins. Yeah. And but I'm a strong swimmer, but it's definitely not as strong as a dolphin.
Yeah, well, I'm sure not. None of us are. We're looking at some of the visuals that you've captured of doing some of your diving. And in fact, even at some stages, if I'm not mistaken, you're wearing a mermaid tail. Talk to us about this.
Yes, I got a mermaid tail about a year ago. And for me, I feel like the ocean is a mixture of play, both in the real world, as a free diver, as a scuba diver, as someone that lives in the ocean, but also in the world of fantasy. And having a mermaid tail is a way in which I get to play differently, kind of playing into the fairy tale world that we all kind of hope exists secretly, if I dare say. Yeah. And so it's just beautiful play for me.
Okay, let's please talk about the shark that you're diving with at the moment, because that is, in the beginning I thought that was the footage of the mermaid, you with the mermaid tail on. It's not. That's a footage of you with a shark. So let's perhaps talk about that. How did you feel? And you went so close and you just were fearless.
You know what's interesting? Sharks are, so that's a whale shark, and that was in Mozambique. And whale sharks are just, they're so massive, but they are also just so gentle. And so in that moment, there was a second time when I was diving right next to it, and you look into its eye and it can feel that something's different and it looks at you. It's really an incredible moment. But diving with sharks is easily one of my most favorite things to do. Just this past week, we were actually looking for great white sharks and wanting to dive with them. And it's just so incredible to be able to tell a different story around sharks. Yeah. Jaws almost did a number on us. And yeah, sharks are generally quite gentle. They are powerful, but they are generally gentle.
I love that. Jaws nearly did a number on us. He did. And my parents were quite sick about it. They always used to take us to see Jaws when we were on holiday at the coast. And it would be like the most nightmarish thing I've ever seen. But I really want to talk a little bit more seriously about the bigger initiative that you have here, besides the fact of sort of getting youngsters and kids more aware of the oceans, because it is so important to protect the oceans, the pollution, everything that we find in there. But it's also teaching children and generations to swim because of our high drowning rate here in South Africa. We lose so many people on a daily basis to drownings.
100%. I feel like everything starts, swimming should be a basic right. It is a right that everybody should have. Yeah. Because when you think of, if you're able to swim, you're able to save everyone else. I run a foundation called the Black Mermaid Foundation, and its work is, one, to create access to ocean spaces, two, to expand the ocean world. But now we're moving into swimming lessons, because you can't explore fully unless you feel fully capable in the ocean. Yeah. And she can get big. And the more we learn about the sea, learn about the tides, learn about the currents, it really changes how we perceive the ocean. The more educated we are in how it moves, the more we can save more people and change the current narrative that we're on when it comes to ocean spaces and the people that have lost their lives in the ocean.
Yeah, and it's so important, I must say. I know when I was when I had my kids at a very, very young age, I was non-negotiable on swimming lessons from a very young age until I knew that they could handle themselves in water, because it doesn't matter. I mean, whether we're talking a big ocean, a small pool or a bucket, you can still drown in these water gatherings, which is very hard. But you also, besides that issue, you also want to sort of highlight, and you do in the book, the challenges faced by our oceans and an opportunity to rewrite the narratives we hold around the water, particularly in Black communities. Perhaps you want to explain this to us.
I think for me, it's twofold, right? I believe we've always had a connection to the water. And so it is the work to remind us of the knowing. You know, often in Black communities, it is believed that the bottom of the oceans is an ancestral space. And I believe that the ocean is sacred. In whichever way that we perceive it, it is sacred. And it is a place that we are able to visit and enjoy and have fun in. And so I want us to expand the fears that we hold. Expand these fears enough to create curiosity. Yeah. And that curiosity will bring us to all the worlds that we hope to reach. Yeah. And when I think of Zandi's song and her journey, our oceans are heating up. There's plastic, marine life is drowning out from the plastics that are all coming through into the ocean from all the river streams that there are. And the opportunity to teach little people about the challenges that we as humans pose on the vast oceans is an incredible moment to just, to take a moment and say, we can do better, we can choose better, and we can be better, not only for ourselves, but for the generations to come. When you think of the awe that the ocean gives us, aside from the oxygen, the fresh water, how it's holding up against the intense carbon emissions that we are putting out as humans, she's still an incredible place of wonder. Yeah. And so much marine life is being entangled in this plastic, and we can change the narrative, not only for ourselves, but for the generations to come.
And I think you're changing the narrative in many different dimensions, and we're so proud of you. The world embracing Disney's Black Mermaid, but we've had you for much longer than that. You were the very first Black Mermaid, and we're so proud of you. Zandile Ndhlovu, good luck with the book. It's available. It's at bookstores. It's called Zandi's Song. And she, of course, being the first Black female diving instructor, talking to us about her book that is around. It's there. You can get it. It's a great gift for your kids. So you should read it.